Welcome to Archean, episode 4 of the Cargo Challenge. And in the previous episode, we constructed our mining vehicle and discovered that the wheelie operation did not work. And so the problem is that there's a sensitivity for very light vehicles not detecting the ground. If I put concrete on the corners, it works. So the way I'm going to work around this, and it's probably a good thing to have anyway, is a speed sensor. So the wheelie detection will only kick in if we're at over a certain speed. So if we're at, zero velocity, there's no reason to engage the wheelie logic. So now with the code change, we'll be able to support it only if we're going over a certain rate. I can hit the code. I'm double checking and update the UI here. Make sure we're be able to see the edits. So basically I added a speed sensor, connected it directly to the computer, and we'll define the port that we added. We'll call it SS. Speed sensor, well, the computer port, so we have CB, so speed sensor equals, it's on port 6. Now you look in the wiki, you'll find that there's a lot of items that does not have an explicit input-output channel, and in these cases it's just the default 0 channel. So I'm just going to do something simple here and just hack into 0 since there's only one channel involved. So now we acquire the speed, and then I need to add another condition to the wheelie check, and this is where I'm looking at it and going, that's getting kind of a long line there. Yeah, so I decided to break this up, make this a little easier. I'm not sure if there's actually a line limit or not in the code. So basically I'm saying is on ground the front right. And I'll replicate that for the left. Now we can simplify the rule check. So basically, if the speed is over a certain minimum, and so we're over the speed and both wheels are off the ground, then engage the wheelie logic, which is basically just killing acceleration input. So if we're not on the ground, and so the front right is on the ground, and the front left is not on the ground, and speed is over, pick a random number. So this is actually meters per second, is not kilometers per hour. So I think I didn't realize that. I'm pretty sure that's meter per second. So it's number might be a bit low, but we'll go with that. If we're going slow, we shouldn't. This is really just to solve we're at 0, speed and we're not moving. We can't get going. And I can always play with that number afterwards. All right, so a pretty simple change, a little restructuring of the code. Just kind of eyeballing stuff to make sure it's going. Oh, I got a undefined, so I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong here. box up there called the speed sensor. Here, just call it speed. We have another undefined. So I have to define the variable with a default of 0 and then only set it. So in this case, I can. So we have a logical expression. You can directly assign it. So if you have a logical expression, it will resolve to 0 or 1. So I can directly assign the expression. All right. Let's see if we fixed our problem. Yeah, and the wheels are spinning, but we're not going anywhere. I wonder why. I wonder why that could be. Okay. Now you can have that operate through computer control instead of having to switch. All right, so we popped see it? It looks pretty good. Now it doesn't stop doing reverse wheelie in this code. I'm just kind of playing around. I'm trying to pop that front wheel. Now normally, if it wasn't for that logic, at a dead still, standstill, I just hit it. Here we go. All right. So now we're zipping across. So the goal now, that little hill. Now, I don't have anti-flip logic, unfortunately. So you're going, and this is a pretty narrow vehicle. Fortunately, there's a easy way to deal with that. So I can't make any turns at high speeds. Yeah, we're sliding a bit. We don't get a ton of grip. Now this is the standard wheels, not the large ones. It's also possible that the terrain being sandy might have a slip factor to it, which would be a little realistic. I decided to turn on this smooth input to give me a little more control. That way when I steer, I don't slam the wheel all the way over. I can just turn it a little bit like that and roll it still. So what I discovered from playing around with this for a while, that if I want to effectively change directions, slow down first. Now I'm not rendering the speed, so we don't know how fast we're going. And you can do that either using the HUD, because your character has speed information attached to it, or I can take the speed sensor and render it on a computer display, or I actually drive the HUD and I roll it again. I thought I was just changing my direction a little bit. I'm trying to be careful there. But at least we're not doing wheelies. And also you see those big cutouts in the bottom there. That's to help prevent any lifting from going too fast and turning into a mini airplane there. They're zipping along pretty quickly here. If I put wings on the air, I lift off the ground right now. As you notice, if I had to walk that, which is possible, that would take a while, even at a running speed. I think I did it once. I tried to run over there. See that suspension travel going on there, so this is not perfectly flat. We're bouncing a little bit. But anytime we bounce and we lose those front wheels off the ground, we'll just cut acceleration a little bit, slow down. Now you could get fancy with it, and when add detection for the rear tires, like that, hopping there a little bit, slow down, and of course there's an accelerometer for all three directions, so you can set that up that you start, or end of the tilt sensor. So if you start tilting, reverses dealing when direction you're tilting, at least kill any steering movements and potentially change the steering the other way, or change the power of the wheels. Basically, cars have anti-tip mechanisms. When they start tipping over, they'll do things to try to prevent it. could make it wider. I was thinking it'd be an interesting challenge. So technically, you could put this up on two wheels, like do a what do they call that? But cars do it. Basically, roll it up on two wheels and leave it and balance it on two wheels only. Okay, now we're definitely slowing down. And of course, I'm doing this blind. I don't have any ore detector running or anything, and so I'm just kind of saying, well, we'll just pick a spot and we'll just stop there. And this is where the auto brake when you get out becomes nice. And say, well, let's see what we got here. And 1% aluminum. Not that much. We'll go a little higher. Look at the other type ingredients. So I'm thinking, look, let's have that peak over there. We'll get up a little higher. So as long as I'm getting better at not tipping it over. So, and this is where the smooth control definitely helps maneuvering it. I can have a little more control. So basically, Lumina is listed as common, but at higher altitudes. So just find a little spot to sort of. We'll check here. And it's still 1%. A little higher. Now, for all I know, there's a pocket like 20 feet to the right that has a huge amount of aluminum. This is where ore scanner comes in handy, but we'll do that in some future series, but let's keep it a little more primitive for now. We're just going to move those cargoes. We don't want to get too fancy on things, and we just need a little bit of aluminum. We don't need a whole bunch of it. It's a nice little spot in here. %. Okay, well, a little better. Maybe over there. Now I do have a beacon on my base, but I know it's on that inlet over there. Let's kind of go down, follow water. There's actually example code for your HUD that if you have a set beacon somewhere else, you can drop that code in and it'll basically give you a marker right on your display where that other beacon's at. Not too bad. Pretty good. What is that, about 30-degree incline? Something else probably should have the dash is the current incline. Okay, that's what we got here. 4%. We'll call that good. Lock it in, start it up, and of course I have the switches on the opposite sides just to make it convenient. I still have the UI on 1.5, so drop that back down so the whole screen doesn't have my inventory. I actually filed a suggestion to have two UI scaling or separate UI scaling value for the code editor versus the UI just for this scenario. And This is a nice thing. This is a big point about using the high voltage battery versus the low voltage. It operates at magnitude faster. So I'm just going to gather up until I get enough and then go ahead and head on back. We're going to speed this section up a little bit. Okay, now we're running at 5x. So you see the red, that's the aluminum. So since I'm sitting here waiting around for mining to happen, I figure I'd start building some props. And for the next episode, episode 5, I'll start building my open wet sub. And that's so we can get some gold for building a crafting unit. I need to build quite a bit. I need to build a boat and some stuff to lift up the cargo unit, put it on the boat and all that. So I figure it's kind of we'll go out there and get the crafting unit going and crank out a lot more components. Looking around at 5x, make sure I know where I'm at. So yeah, I got plenty of aluminum at this point, more than enough for what I need. And going ahead. That's what I'm doing here. There's certain things that take a while to build, so I figured I kind of stack those up a little bit before I jump in the cart and zip back. So I think like magnets are one of those things that take a while. And let's go ahead and get that going. All right. Unlock this. And the brakes are being applied now because I'm not in the seat. That's definitely a useful feature now. I want to challenge myself to get down this hill without flipping. And this has, it's a small vehicle with a high center of gravity, so it's definitely had a tendency to go over. Could have the mine drill rotate pivot, and that way it kind of lays flat when you're driving around and rotates up for drilling position. That would get the center of gravity down a bit. Just be interesting to rebuild this, remove the drill and the container, and just build a small little go-kart per se, and then add the logic to prevent wheelies or flipping over. So no matter what you do to the controls, no matter how fast you're going, and you throw the steering, it will not tip over with active logic. Some things you can do, like, for example, if you're over a certain speed, then you restrict the steering, so you can't do a hard right if you're going at full speed. Probably help to have a speed indicator so I kind of judge how fast I'm going here, but got to save something for the future episode videos. Also, by not putting too much stuff on the craft and not doing too much, it makes it easier for newer players to get going. I'm actually a little bouncing going on here. Surprisingly enough, it's actually somewhat entertaining just driving around the environment. So in theory, I can just hit the accelerator full rate here, and we start getting a little too much air, we'll just auto shut down. The other thing to do for if I notice there's wheelie happening, I can actually, besides cut the acceleration, hit the rear brakes, just the rear, and that will tend to, you know, slam down the front a bit. Just if you're in reverse, you make a reverse wheelie while you're in reverse, you just hit the rear front brakes in. Okay, now it cranked up. So I'm going to speed this section back up, just driving. Yep, now we're at 5x. We're really zipping along now. Could have built the building a little higher. And boom, here we are. Ooh, a little too close. Just trying to get close enough, but not too close. Now, if I would use the low voltage cables instead of the high, you wouldn't have that kind of performance. Checking the battery power we have here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a power high voltage bridge on here and hook up there and run a cable from the base over to this battery effectively and charge up the go-kart here. Just kind of thinking about how I'm going to run the cabling and where I'm going to put it. So we need a bridge. So bridges are interesting little boxes. So a bridge has a one input and one output, and effectively allows you to constrain where the cable goes. This is how I think of it. For example, I could actually put a wire from the battery, just run it right across to the main base and charge it that way. But I want it to be more like an EV type of port. And I want to tap directly off the generator turbine here, not off the battery. So I'm going to put a junction on here. And so junctions are basically currently, one input, four outputs. So now you can use a battery as a way if you had like multiple. So I had multiple turbines running, and I wanted to combine that into a single wire. If I route it through a battery, so basically have the two turbines go into a battery, and then from the battery come back out again, that use the battery as an accumulator, that would work. Okay, so we're going to be here. This is, not too fancy. We're just going to sort of run cable there. So that cable's fixed. Now this cable will be our sort of gas line. We'll run this. I thought it would sort of drag, but it doesn't drag. So I'm like, oh, I was dragging it. So I guess it doesn't drag over. And then we just pop it there. And we got a cable from point A. I really should put that in the front of the vehicle, but we'll go with that. So now we're charging the battery up. I'm just thinking about rerouting, so I'll plug it in. That helps. And all the times you see are real time, not game time. Well, I guess it is game time, since game time is real time. And I need to fill up my suit water container. Okay, so we just go ahead and check our cargo over here. Fragile, yeah. You bounce around too much, the G rate should go up. So they're still happy. There's a timer on there, represents how long it required to move it, and that doesn't go off until you move it to a certain distance, and then it goes off. So when we start moving it, we need to get going. I think what I'll do is I'll actually make a mock, take 2 frames, put them together, put a port on top of it, and practice with that first. And then once that's good, then I'll go ahead and use the real ones. What I'm doing here is there's some bulk stuff I need. So we need to build a sub, but that's the next episode. We'll start that. And I've never built a sub before, so this should be interesting. Well, assuming you don't count running my car into the ocean there, but that didn't have any props on it, so we won't call that a sub. So what I'm doing here is getting some of the bulk construction going on here, and then maybe build a couple components, and then we'll end it there. All right, so we'll just go and end it here. You can watch the end of the video. We only have 2 more minutes. I'm just going to build some stuff. So until next time, see ya.